this is also a good opportunity for me to show you the different tools. So starting with the jack, I'll just come over here to the jack. I don't want to move it yet. I just got a little Daytona 1.5 ton. It's a low profile jack. My car's pretty low to the ground. It's the sport package, and the car is just like, I wouldn't want it any lower, that's for sure. I could barely get the jack underneath there. And then I have these discs. They pop right into the slot, and then you raise them. These pucks help, and you can find those online. And I think these are for a Porsche, but you can find these online either on Amazon or eBay. I can't remember where I got them. Got them one of those two places, and they come in a nice case. They come in a nice case, and you get 4 of them. But I only use one at a time, basically. So that's that. The other thing I want to talk about is this is a jack rod. Now, this is probably out now, but this was not on the market when I got it. And this is a simplified jack rod, and it's made by a company called AGM, and it's agmproducts.com, agm-products.com, I believe. Okay, and they actually gave me this as a demo, so that I didn't even pay for it, which is kind of cool. I own the other one, but I don't even use it because I have the other short one, but you have to raise the car a lot higher. And so for those of us that have low profile cars and stuff, this is the one you want to use. It doesn't have, it's just a basic one with the spring. So what you do is you put it in the back of the jack. After you get the car jacked up, you put it in the back of the jack, and it's kind of like your safety. It's your safety thing. And then what I do is I let it down a little bit, and it gives you that safety so that if for some reason the hydraulics get released or something goes wrong with the hydraulic part of the jack, it will still hold up with this jack rod in place. It's rated heavy duty and all that. You can tell it's got the solid welds and everything. Again, highly recommend that, but I'm not here advertising. The other thing you want a nice torque wrench. I like these black Lexavon torque wrenches. I had a Craftsman, but it went out on me, and they don't cover it under warranty like their other tools, so I basically tossed it. And I ended up getting this, and it's easier to read and works great. I have a 3/8 and a 1/4 inch, and then I have a cheaper 1/2 inch one, but this one, if you have a 3/8 drive that goes up to like 89 pounds, 88 pounds, you're fine, because I torque the wheels at 89 pounds, and then everything else is less than that on this job. I'll talk about torque values a little bit later. The other thing I had is just a standard, got a standard 1/2 inch socket. That's when I reinstall the lug nuts. I kind of just start them with that, and then I torque them with the torque wrench. Of course, you need a 17 millimeter driver. You want obviously some kind of breaker bar to take off the existing lug nuts or loosen them up. You are going to need T55 Torx. So this is a T55 Torx. That's a 3/8 inch drive that I have. The other tool you need for the front brakes, this is a 5 hex. Okay, I guess 5 millimeter hex is what we'd call that, HW5. And that is what you use to take out the retainer bolt that holds the brake discs on. Okay. I have a special set of punches that have a little hole here on the end, which fits perfectly on these coned shaped pins. It fits on there without slipping, so you don't chip your you don't chip your rotors and all that, and they worked really good. So highly recommend that if you can find those. I bought a whole set, and I can't remember where I got the set. Okay, probably Amazon. The set. Yeah, see, I don't know what this company is, but Destinol or something like that is the name of the company. And you just get a whole set, really nice. And it comes with a little hammer, which I have on the tool table too, and these extra things. So it comes with a little mallet. That's what I mean. Anyway, yeah, it's a nice little tool set. I know I didn't pay much for it, so definitely if you can find something like that, that's helpful. Okay. I think that's it for the tools. Maybe the safety gear. I didn't talk about that. I like this flex socket. I have more expensive ones, but I like this Harbor Freight one. It works great, and it's real versatile. So I ended up using this a lot. Okay, so that's definitely another tool you want to have with you. I got some brake clean. I didn't use that much. I used that to clean up some of the old parts a little bit, but I basically used a different degreaser. I got some WD-40. I used that to spray the pins. I have the aftermarket pins that came with the brakes, but I actually decided to keep the OEM ones because I figured, hey, they're made by Brembo. They might be a little better. I did replace the spring just because the old spring was pretty bad, and this one's made out of stainless steel, and it seems to work. So I maintain that. So on the other side, they're installed already. Of course, you want eye protection. You want some gloves. In fact, what's funny was my hands were so clean yesterday when I did the gloves, and then I forgot to put them back on when I was putting the tire on. Then my hands got all dirty yesterday, and I go, oh yeah, I forgot the gloves. If you keep the gloves on, you're probably pretty good. The other thing is cleaning stuff. These trimmers that it's not cleaning, obviously. The trimmers I use just to cut this wire tie. The wire tie I use as an extra secure method for the brake sensor when I'm all done, and I'll show you that later. For cleaning, old toothbrush, maybe one that's not as bad as you go through the stages. And this wire one I didn't use on the calipers because you don't want to screw up your paint. I use these on the actual hub, because when you take the wheel off, you're going to see corrosion behind that hub, and I got it all off. And I also have 2 drill bits I use. I have 2 on hand, and I have extra drills, so I've got one that's brass and one that's steel, and a combination of those and doing it by hand. I sprayed the WD-40 over the hub and kind of let it, do its thing to get rid of the rust, and then I go through and, it takes time. And when I do the video, I'm not going to show all that because that takes the most time. But, okay, so that's a supply. The other thing is I got a larger tray here. This is where I put the parts in and spray them with the WD-40. This is how I clean my pins and the other brake hardware. On the OEM pads, there's a stainless steel metal plate that goes on the back of each pad. You want to take that off and reuse it, but it's going to be really super dirty, and I recommend cleaning it. I clean everything so it looks new. Well, I guess I can show the pads real quick. These are the R1 Concept ceramic pads. They're the Performance Edition. I think they're just basically the Euro spec for this car. And I got a great deal. I got the rotors and the pads, and I can't remember the exact price, but it was under $300 at the time. And the price might have gone up. I don't know. I actually got these last year, or I might even got these 2 years ago. But what happened was I checked my brakes, and I'm like, well, they don't need to be changed yet. So I decided, I'll wait another year, I'll wait another year. And, to be honest with you, I could have waited longer. Look how much room I had on the OEM pads. So, now my car had 49,000 miles. So I know what happened was I leased this car. I didn't lease this car. I bought this as a lease return vehicle, and it was, the vehicle was certified. And I think what they did is they must have put new brakes on all 4 wheels. And I think they even put rotors on, because I wouldn't have bought the rotors if I would have known they were this thick. I guess I should have measured them first. I kind of wanted to upgrade, but I just measured these. These are still factory spec. These are still factory spec. Obviously, they got a little wear on the rotors, but they're still factory spec. I measured them with the caliper. I think the factory spec's like 28. These are 28.3 or something like that, crazy. So I really didn't replace them, but I did just because, wanted to upgrade the brakes. And since I bought everything already, and I'm not going to take it back, so I'm going to go ahead and put it in and install it. Okay, that's enough of my thing. And the rotor, the new rotor is in here. We'll bring that out later. But yeah, they're pretty thick, and I just measured them, and they're basically a tiny bit thicker than the ones I just pulled off. So I didn't have much wear on the rotors, so I didn't really need to do the job. But oh well, here we are doing it anyway. Air gun 1/2-inch drive. It's you obviously need an air compressor, but I just have I have a standard one, 8-gallon. Anyway. The only thing I would say about this air gun is I found that you had to turn up the pressure a little higher than what it says. I do not use the impact wrench or the air gun to put anything on. I do everything by hand when I put the wheel back on. So let's just, before I start the job, let's just go over and look at the current OEM setup in here, okay? We'll just get this on camera. I'm coming over to the car. Sorry, there's going to be extra sunlight, so it might be better or harder to see. But anyway, yeah. So this is the 5mm pin that holds the disc on. Okay, and these are the pins that you're going to punch out. Okay, and then you got 2 torque 55s, one there and one there. This one, notice the counterweight faces that way. Here's your sensor. You'll have to take that off. And what I do now is I will now take off the cap on the brake fluid reservoir. I am not doing that part right now, but I don't want to forget. So what I do is I take the cap off completely and I set it here. And then I just put this cover back on that. If any debris falls from the tree or whatever, I got everything right here, okay? So that's just my thing. It worked for me yesterday, worked great. And you need to do that so that you can push the pistons back. And I also have a tool that I used yesterday. Here it is. So this tool here, forgot to show you this. This is the tool that I would use to push out the things. One thing about these things, they don't work unless they like have resistance or pressure on the plates, and it's kind of hard to do that and ratchet it at the same time. But if you get it real close, once you get the tension, these push it out real nice. They're called Callip Max. I got those on pretty sure I got those on either eBay or Amazon, but I think I got them on Amazon, and they work, and they seem to do the job real well for me. Okay, so the first step is going to be using this punch pin I have. See how it's a hollow end point? You can use a regular punch, but this prevents it from slipping. And I'm just going to be, I won't do it on camera, but I'm going to be punching each one of these pins out. That's the first thing I do. Okay, the next step I do is I loosen this up, I don't take it off, and I start working on my caliper bolts, getting those loose. This is a hex 5, basically a hex 5, and this is a T55, Torx 55, one on the top, one on the bottom. And I know you're going to ask about the torque rating. From what I understand, 77 pounds is what is indicated, but I've had it go all the way down to like less than that. On the T55 bolts, I just torqued them to 55 pounds Maybe it's a little under, but I got some Loctite on there. I don't see why it'd have to be at the 77 pounds. I don't want to break the bolt or strip threads, so that's what I'm doing. And also, when I took off the bolts, I know they weren't on super tight like that. So, and I've been driving with no problems on the brakes for a while. So I'm going to be doing two T55. The T55 bolts are going to be done at 55 pounds with 2 clicks and a little bit of the blue Loctite on the threads, but not much of the Loctite, just a little bit on there. Okay. Before I take off the caliper bolts completely, I'm going to get back in here and I'm going to take this sensor off. I like to take the receiver and the sensor off because the receiver part is the part that the brake pad hooks onto. So let's get that done. Okay, so what I do is I actually loosen the bolts, take the bolts off of the caliper, and I hold them in place. I also have this stand that I had underneath it in case it slipped, because I don't want to break the solid brake line back here. But I actually did not need the stand. I used it yesterday for the other side, so maybe it's helpful when I'm reinstalling. But what I do is I take the caliper off a little bit to slide the pads out and the hardware out, and now I'm in cleaning mode. And so to keep everything secure, I just put the bolts back on. I didn't tighten them all the way, so the caliper's on here, and I'm in cleaning mode right now. I am going to remove the rotor. Okay, so I was able to loosen the bolts on the calipers, and I pulled out the pads earlier, and then followed by the rotor. I thought I could get the rotor out if the pads were out, but that wasn't the case. But I was able to pull the rotor out, and I just kind of held the caliper in place. I have a little stand here that I could use to help me, and some people have used that to hold that caliper up. And you know, because it's got a solid line back here, and you don't want that breaking off. As somebody said, you'll have a world of hurt if that happens, so you don't want that to happen. And these pistons aren't even that far out, so but I do have a tool to push them flush, so I will be doing that. I can't remember if I have to do that, if I can get those in there with the caliper installed or not. I think I can. I will try that. The reason I reinstall the caliper is I'm going to go in cleaning mode, and I clean these pretty good. As you can see, they look, by the time I'm done, they're going to look good in the back and the front and everything. And then of course I got to clean this area up. What I do is I basically spray this with WD-40, let it sit. The calipers I spray with like a degreaser. I don't want to use anything real corrosive on them. I don't use brake cleaner, to be honest with you, because it's kind of like got alcohol in it, and just it's not an effective cleaner. It's good for I guess cleaning, you know, your pins and sliders and stuff, but I use WD-40, to be honest with you. I have the cleaner, so I spray a couple parts, like the I actually have to clean these off another way, and then when I'm done towards the end, I get this hardware, I get this cleaned with the brake cleaner. So that's the only thing I really use the brake cleaner for. But I'm going to say you really don't need the brake cleaner. You can use WD-40. I don't know, but I've got both, as you can see. All right, let's do the WD-40 spray off. Okay, so this is pre-soaking. I'll be cleaning that with the drill bit, and the caliper, it's got some spray on it. I made sure I didn't get much material on the actual the pistons because I don't want anything happening with those, but that's part of the reason I don't use something really corrosive. This is going to take a lot of work. I have toothbrushes that I use and get those all clean, and then this clean, I might use the wire brush a little bit on this little metal piece in the back here, or I might just be able to clean it. We'll just see how that goes, but that's going to take time, and this is going to take time. So I'm going to charge my phone right now and come back and maybe have a little coffee, and then we'll start on the cleaning process, and I'll just touch bases on that. But this is the before of the cleaning process, and I get all the places, sometimes things you can't even see. That's just kind of what I do because I wanted it to look as new as possible. Okay. If you have the yellow calipers, sometimes they get sun faded, and a little trick is get some 00 stainless steel wool, and you can buff out the fading, and so these basically look pretty much like when I first got the car. They look pretty new. Okay, so this is the completed front brake job. Just want to do an overview of what the pads and rotors look like on the completed. Sorry if the light's not perfect. We'll maybe get a better shot later on the other side. But the one thing I wanted to point out was the model of these rotors, the carbon alloy version, has two sets of drilled out slots. I mean, between the slots. So two sets of drilled out holes between the slots, where the standard R1 concept only has one drilled out set of slots between the drilled out holes between the slots. Anyway, you know what I mean. And then I detailed out the calipers pretty good, and you know, basically this car has like 49,000 miles on it. Now it's got a new set of brakes. I'll be doing the other side as we talked about earlier. Just doing a quick overview video. The brakes got done with the R1 Concepts rotors and pads, and I went and cleaned up the calipers, and I'll go over some tips a little bit later. I'll come over here to the rear. Sorry, it's a little dark right now. I actually got this done yesterday, but I've been busy doing other stuff. Same thing, I cleaned the calipers in here and got everything nice and clean. Yeah, basically looks like new. They brake pretty good so far. I've been happy with them, and they're quiet.